Hello everybody, welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is Season 2, Episode 2. As you guys know, yesterday was the very first episode of this second season as well. And the entire season, what I've done is design it to be showing you the step-by-step of how you can achieve financial freedom. So that's going to include some mindset, some money relationship fixins, some hard strategies, some soft skills, some pep talk, some motivational speech, and maybe some of my personal stories as well, just to really share with you in terms of how I got to where I want to be. Because I understand for a lot of you guys, that's simply a process of duplication. And this is what we always talked about when we are looking for coaches, when we're looking for mentors as well, is that you just want to find somebody that you can relate to. And I know I might not be everybody's cup of tea, and that's totally okay. However, it really is my sincere hope that every single one of you that ever comes across my channel, my videos, my episodes, understand that this is your commitment to yourself if you do decide to pursue financial freedom. I see so many people, they say that they want to do something and yet they don't fully commit. And that actually reminds me, during one of my personal development trainings in the last few years here, is write this down if you have to. And oh, by the way, yeah, you're gonna notice that about me this season now as opposed to the first season. I know a lot of you guys are sort of just sitting back there kind of Netflix and chilling with these videos, and I know while that's really great, I really want you to start to participate, because the more you actually do, as in the more actively you're participating in your learning, the more you can actually retain, and the more it actually makes you want to go out there and do something. Because at the end of the day, information is great, knowledge is great, education is great, but until you actually apply what you've learned, it really is nothing. It's no different than seeing a really, really good recipe that even makes your mouth water and you love the food that you're looking at. However, never test out the recipes, okay? So just make sure that you do that for yourself. Now, write this down. This is a definition of commitment that I've actually learned, which is a decisions that I've made that I surrender to. So I'm going to say that again, write this down, and I'm going to probably put it down into the comments section. I'm going to do my best to make sure that you guys capture all the essence of everything that I'm sharing with you, okay, with every single episode. However, remember, if you actually physically pick up a pen and paper and write this down, it's going to stick with you so much more. And this is something that is really, really important, especially for those of you who will be taking your financial well-being very seriously. So once again, a commitment is a decision that I have made that I surrender to. And so really chew on those words. However, that's not what we're here to talk about today, right? So I want to share with you, again, the basic fundamental difference between asset versus liability. Yesterday, we already talked about this as one of the very, very first tips of the 8 tips covered from yesterday, is that the definition of asset is something that puts money into your pocket, and the definition of liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. So that's not something that you continue to want. However, it's okay to want liabilities in your life, because honestly though, to live a life without liabilities, to be real, for me, I don't even know what that would look like, to be really, really frank with everybody here. However, the whole point is really understand the true difference. And at this point, I know some of you guys who might have been in this industry for a bit longer, or you've been educated already, so you understand whenever we talk about the fundamental difference between asset versus liability, we always talk about your principal residence if you do have one. A lot of us, we were all brought up thinking that, hey, our own house is our biggest asset. And funny enough, when you walk into a bank and you're filling out your financial statements, you're applying for a loan, you're applying for a mortgage, that's what they always ask you as well. And they see your house as an asset. Yes, it could be. However, in the bank's language, it's a collateral. It means that that's their security blanket. Not so much asset, to be really honest. However, that's what a lot of us are brought up to think, right? Our house is our greatest, biggest asset, and you have to really get that out of your mind. Why? Think about it. The property that you live in, okay? Typically speaking, for most people, Is it putting money into your pocket or taking money out of your pocket every single month? You have typically a mortgage payment. Okay, even if your mortgage has been paid down already, you got to pay property taxes, you got to pay property insurance, you got to pay utilities depending on what type of property you're in. You might have to pay homeowners associations, you might have to pay a condo fee, whatever it may be, and you still gotta pay to maintain that property regularly as well. So that is definitely something that is taking money out of your pocket on a monthly basis. So by definition, it is a liability and not an asset. And I know a lot of you guys are ready to argue with me, you're ready to rumble with me, and that's totally okay. Because again, we can always agree to disagree as well. Now, for those of you, if you're saying, well, you know what, I'm doing Airbnbs, or I got a basement suite that I'm renting out, it's actually a mortgage helper, it's an income generator. Awesome, okay? If it's doing that, then great. You're halfway there in terms of it being an asset. Because again, if you're not positively cash flowing on a monthly basis, it is still a liability. I want you to think about that for a second as well. So with that being said, though, sometimes we play this game in a real life classroom scenario. Every time I train one of these real estate investing classes, is think about it this way then. So is your car an asset or a liability? Well, I hope that you're saying it's a liability, okay? Now, if you're collecting cars, different story. If the value goes up, however, it still does not give you money on a monthly basis, guess where it still falls? Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with you because in the long term, yes, you could see that you can argue the fact that the value might still go up. However, that is the same way people argue about real estate, about how value always goes up. However, this is where I always say, I don't have a crystal ball. Do you? Do you always know that it will definitely go up? It depends on the market that you come from. And if we actually go back and look at the historical numbers and data of every single real estate market across Canada, across the US, across the world, in whichever market that you want to go into, you're going to see lines that are not always just straight and smooth going up like that. You're probably going to see jagged lines like this. Maybe not that crazy, however, depending on the market that you're in. The point is, though, we don't ever bank on market appreciation. As professional and educated real estate investors, we always say rule number one is to make money in the buy, okay? And so that's something that we're going to talk about a little bit more down the road as well. Now, that being said, do you think financial education is an asset or a liability? I hope that you will say it is an asset, simply because of the fact that, guess what? Nobody cares more about your financial future more than you do. Maybe other than your kids. However, different story altogether. And that being said, though, the flip side of financial education is financial ignorance. And this is honestly one of the biggest reasons why I decided to get myself educated. It was because, well, this happened at the end of 2009, and I was already living in Edmonton. A lot of you guys know that I'm an immigrant from Taiwan. I moved to Canada in 1999. I lived in Vancouver first, and then I moved to Edmonton in the year 2009, basically right after a global financial crisis. And because of that, even though I had already been making a fairly comfortable six-figure income job, I was investing into RSPs and savings accounts and company stocks, and none of that took me anywhere. And it really doesn't take a genius to look at their statements and look at the 1% return, look at the negative returns and go, I am never going to retire comfortably, or I am never going to stop working if I want to continue to live the lifestyle that I want to, or I will never be able to take care of anybody else more than myself or my immediate families. And this is why so many people get into financial jams. And so as a result, what I decided to do was that I decided to pull my money out of my savings account because I got a referral to go and watch this presentation by a commercial real estate developer. And the guy was super smooth and super slick. He basically walked me through the entire project. And at the time, I was 27 years old at this point. I was just completely wowed at the idea that, hey, other than banks and giant insurance companies, there are just smaller business people that can actually create something like that. And so I was in complete awe. And before the presentation was even done, I already whipped out my checkbook and basically wrote down a number that represents every last penny of my savings leading up to that point. And I handed it over to the guy. And I was told that the next step, what was going to happen, was that I was going to get a deed certificate by participating into this syndication deal in a commercial plaza development deal in Saskatchewan. And so I waited and waited and waited. Christmas came and went, and then New Year's came and went. Finally got my letter from a law firm. Super, super excited that day. Opened the envelope, and I'm pretty sure I turned super pale just reading what was in it. Basically, long story short, is the fact that the developer took everybody's money and ran, and they were not going to continue with the project anymore. And so the letter basically stated that some of the other investors that have been in the deal for a bit longer, they wanted to start a civil lawsuit. And then it kind of made sense. I didn't really understand what that meant at the time. And so I decided to go to the meeting just to see what it's really about. And so it was one of those downtown towers where I walked in, got into the elevator after a long work day. As the elevator starts to rise, just faintly, I start to hear people yelling and screaming and crying and banging on tables and banging on walls. And I'm going, oh my God, where am I going? Let me go down. Let me go down. Maybe I'm in the wrong building. I'm scared at this point. And so I got to the floor. Finally, the door opens, and I realized that was the floor that I was meant to be on. I walked to the boardroom that where the meeting was going to be held, and then what I saw completely shocked me. And some people, a lot of you guys know that I've had a lot of major health challenges, and I'll share that later on as well. However, that night forever inked in my brains. And I'm actually very grateful that it happened to me. I feel really, really bad. I have no idea what happened to those people, simply because when I walked in, I very quickly realized that I was one of the youngest people in that room, if not the youngest, because everybody else in that room was likely in their 50s and 60s and 70s, maybe even older. And most of them were in tears. Most of them were just angry. And some of them were even just hyperventilating and saying things like, that is my entire life's work and my entire life's savings. How could they have done that to me? How am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to pay rent? And then I realized a lot of people, when they decided to invest into the project, they had the same idea as I did, which was real estate is the safest investment vehicle that anybody could have. And that was the moment that it hit me. Yes, it is if you know what you are doing. All we did was got sold by a slick salesperson who, he probably didn't mean to do what he did. He probably didn't know what was going to happen to our money. At the same time, though, the idea is that later on, I realized that I have to take full responsibility for what happened, because I got sold based on fancy marketing materials. I didn't get sold because whatever he presented, I had the knowledge and the skills to comb through and do my own due diligence to decide, yes, my money is going to be safe with this company. And so it was one of the most heartbreaking things to watch, and I'm glad that it actually happened. I walked away from that meeting. I didn't really know what I was going to do, whether or not I was going to participate in the lawsuit with the rest of them or not. Remember, this was my entire life saving leading up to that point. However, I was 27 years old. Actually, I'm 28 now at this point when this meeting happened. Everybody else was much, much older than me. And all of a sudden, the one thing that really hit me was, oh my God, I'm already working 60, 70 hours a week right now. And I can, I'm making good money and it's okay. I can probably bounce back from this. I can put away more money. I can work a little harder. I can even get a second job at some point. I don't know. The only thing that I knew, though, was something's got to change. And then I realized that it was me. I had to increase my financial literacy so that this does not happen to me again. Because I actually did enjoy what I was doing for work. And I know a lot of the times when we're talking about financial freedom, a lot of people are like, I'm gonna fire my boss one of these days. Honestly though, I wanted to, because I did not enjoy some of the bosses that I had in corporate. However, I also had a lot of really nice leaders that I looked up to, that I admired, that I wanted to model after. And there was a path for me to grow into as well. But I never got the pleasure of being able to fire my bosses because I got laid off in July 2012, which a lot of you guys know that was also the time that I declared financial freedom for myself as well. Simply because backtracking 2 years before that, after walking away from that boardroom meeting where it literally shattered a lot of my faith and belief in humanity a little bit, because I was young and I just did not believe that something like this could even happen to people, that people would do something like this to other people. And so by the time I actually came across real estate investing education, I decided to jump full in. And I'm so glad that I did, simply because, you know what, I decided to take this very seriously. I committed to elevating my financial literacy. And this is why, again, we might differ in opinions, and that's totally fine. I'm not here to argue with you. I feel like I made the best life decisions at that point by pursuing education that's got a full curriculum. Because again, if you're a plumber today, if you're a baker today, you don't just go to take one class and learn how to bake bread and call yourself a baker. You don't just learn how to wire a lamp and call yourself an electrician. And this is why, for me, it puzzles me still when people are going out there these days, especially when there's so many free educations out there, info sessions, and never ever make the decision to commit and treat their financial freedom as a goal, as a commitment. So that's just my personal story, and this is why you'll notice that I'm very passionate about this. And I know that during season 1 especially, there were a lot of you guys that actually contacted me. And I know during these videos I come across as, I'm happy. I'm a happy guy, I think, and I'm very passionate about what I do. At the same time, a lot of you guys, I know when we get on a call together, I become very serious, simply because of the fact that I want to be that coach for you right off the bat. If you've actually ever watched the show The Voice, for example, right? It's like the coaches are coaching right after the audition is over. It starts right away if you're actually truly wanting to seek help. And for those of you who don't like that, and that's fine, maybe you're just not ready, because we always say, and we know this, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. So I really just wanted to really make sure that everybody understands, because that was one of the greatest lessons that I have learned over the years, over and over and over again, is to really invest in the greatest income generating asset, and that is always you and your knowledge, because even the most clever thief cannot steal what's between the what's in the 6 inches between your ears. So just wanted to share that with you. And like I said, this entire season is dedicated towards step by step fixing your mindset, fixing your relationship with money, giving you some hard strategies, hard numbers, and analytical skills, and critical thinking skills, and soft skills, so that you can start to map out your journey into financial freedom. So thank you so much for joining me today. Again, as you know, I'm going to be coming to you every single day, Monday to Friday, for the next 12 weeks. I haven't set a time yet for season 2, because I know some of you guys are asking. I know a lot of you guys are just watching the videos afterwards, so I would appreciate, once again, your comment, your feedback. I get a lot of private messages, so I appreciate that, because I love that engagement, because you're telling me what it is that you feel like you need help with. And the other thing is, the one thing that I can always promise you is I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, because that's not doing you any favor. As a coach, as a mentor, my biggest pride and joy is to watch your light bulb moment happen when I tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear, okay? And so if you find value, and I hope you do, in any of these videos, make sure you comment, you like, you love, and you share this with the people that you really want to help as well. So thank you very much again. Have a great evening, and live well, everybody. I will see you tomorrow back here.